Um, you know, it was a little more than 52 years ago that I woke up to what's really going on here in this life. It was in May of 1970 that I was accidentally killed. And it was in a motorcycle wreck, and I went out of body and over to the other side. And that first book that I wrote, I call it the death experience. They like to call it a near-death experience, but it isn't. It's a real death. You leave the physical behind and you go over to the other side. And they've done a lot of research now lately to prove that our consciousness actually does survive when the physical body is completely dead, when the heart stopped and the respiration stopped. And they have a number of people who have been gone for 3 or 4 hours. They use hypothermic cardiac therapy, where they can reduce the body temperature so that your body doesn't spoil. And then they bring the person back later. And people have been gone for 3 or 4 hours. And some of them have near-death experiences. They know what was going on. Their consciousness is obviously surviving when their body's completely physically dead. No heartbeat, no respiration, no brain waves, nothing. Just a dead cadaver that they've got on cold storage. And that person is out having other experiences because their consciousness does not need a physical body to survive. And that's what I learned on the other side. I realized that, hey, we go on. And while I was over there, I met a being of light. And interestingly, the being of light didn't say his name was Krishna or Jesus or Buddha or anything else. He's just a being of light. And he, she, I don't know, didn't seem to have a particular gender. But that being of light was somebody that I'd known for a long time. I already knew them, so we didn't need an introduction. And it was wonderful being there. I never felt so wonderful in this physical life, I have to tell you that. And I felt completely at home. But soon that being of light kind of got it across to me using ESP, never spoke a word, all came, you read each other's thoughts very beautifully. The being of light pointed out that I needed to return to the physical life to complete my purpose here. I was on the other side, and that light told me I had to come back to this side and to reincarnate. And literally coming from out of body back into the body is reincarnation. It's born again, you could say, reborn in the same body. And so I reincarnated, and it would be, and coming back into this very injured body, it would be more than a month before I left the hospital. Extensive surgeries, I had broken bones all over my body, extensive injuries to my skull and to my legs. And I had to overcome all of this and come back from there physically. And so then I finally left, and I came back from that, what they call a near-death experience, with a definite knowledge that we all, every one of us, will survive death. We can't get out of it. We have what we call, medically we call that, and scientifically we call it postmortem consciousness survival. And churches call it eternal life and afterlife and things like that, but it's the same thing. It's your consciousness surviving after your physical body has died, and you've taken it off like a jacket and set it aside, but you're still alive. So knowing that that's going to happen, that consciousness survives beyond the death of the physical body, and that you and I will continue beyond the death of our physical body. What spiritualists like to say is there is no death and there are no dead. And I came back with that visceral knowledge from my own experience that our consciousness survives outside of the body. And this one piece of knowledge is what empowers me when I demonstrate as a medium, as I'll do in a little bit, I know from my own personal experience that our individual consciousness does survive, and that everyone that we think is dead is actually alive over there. And when I receive a message from the departed, I realize that I'm merely acting as a telephone for your departed loved ones. And I may be an imperfect telephone. If you sometimes you get called and gets dropped on your cell phone and you have to call them back. And sometimes you get the wrong number when you didn't dial the wrong number. And all of those kind of things are little glitches that happen. And in mediumship, we have these little glitches. And we sometimes, as a medium, we're trying to say what we think we're feeling. And the word we use strikes you as not the right word. And we lose you. But that's part of what happens. And so just bear with those little glitches and realize what we're doing is rather difficult business, from talking from the other side, a dimension that our materialist science doesn't even admit exists. And they're coming from that dimension, this one, and talking to us. And so if there's a little static in the system, that's okay. Count what's right and what's good about the system. Because if I get half of the message correct, that's amazing. that I can receive that from where? From the ether out there. If it just comes. So understand, we're not perfect, we're imperfect, but it does work. And they're really trying to communicate with us. So I'm just the telephone. And I know that, but I know that those spirits are there and they want to talk to you. And for me, I realize that for the system to work, everyone in the system, and there's 4 of us, everyone in the system has to have a heartfelt belief that it's going to work. And the 4 people are you, the one who's getting the message, me, the medium who's acting as a telephone, the medium on the other side whom I'm working with who's been deceased. I'm talking about the 4 people, wasn't I? There's me, the medium, there's you, the listener, there's a medium on the side, and then there's the person, your departed loved one, who's talking to that medium on that side. And the 2 mediums, we don't actually get to talk. The way it works is Helen, who's the medium on that side, makes me feel something inside. I'm clairsentient. I feel things. I don't hear, they don't whisper in my ear. I feel something. And when I get names, you wonder, how do I do that? Well, I feel the name. It's an amazing thing. It's like smelling a color. It's really a strange thing, but I do it. And Helen's making me feel. Helen and I apparently have a history from before. And she's making me feel something. And she uses all kinds of devices to make me get the right message. And it comes to me as a feeling. So then I have to translate it into words. And so I may not use the exact sentence that your departed loved one would have used, but I'm getting the feeling, the thought, the heartfelt thing. Each of us, all 4 of us, have to have a heartfelt belief. And sometimes your departed loved one went over to that side not believing they'd even be alive, not believing that there was an afterlife. And so since they're still alive, they don't even maybe know that they're dead yet. And they may be sitting there wondering, I couldn't possibly be dead because I'm still alive. So they're confused and they're not ready to come back and talk to you. And you're saying, well, why don't they come through? Why don't they come talk to me? But when they realize that they've passed on, and it may take them 6 months, a year of our time, who knows? But when they get the feeling that, hey, I am passed on, and they start to work with those other spirits, because they're going to have to work with a medium on that side that's going to work with me, and for the whole thing to work. Once they figure out the system, and it takes them some time, and they believe in it, they can come back and tell you things, and it can work, and it can come through. And so for me, that heartfelt belief is very easy, because I've been over there. I've seen it. I have the advantage of knowing that I cannot deny what I saw and what I experienced when I was there. So for me, there's no question that the afterlife is entirely real. And I know perfectly well I'm not fooling myself when I assert that postmortem consciousness survival is a fact, a scientific fact. And for those of you who haven't had the lucky advantage of being killed and then reborn back into the same body, for you, it may only be a hope and a dream. So you may have to work on your belief a little more. Mine's easy. I know it. So you have to really have a heartfelt belief. You know, this is real, what we're talking about. And so I simply know we will all survive, and that those who have gone on before are going to be there to greet us when we get to that side. And that itself is a wonderful thing. You get to see them all again. You get to see your mom, your dad, those people that are gone. And that's wonderful. So how do we apply this to your own life in the here and now? What do you do with this? The thing to do is realize that your past is over and it's gone forever. You can't get yesterday back. It's gone. And all you really have to do anything with is the now, the right now in front of you today. And today is your gift as the first day of the rest of eternity. It's your first day of the rest of eternity. I hear a siren out there, probably hear it too. And whatever you did not achieve in your life, whatever you failed at, whatever went wrong, that divorce, that lost love, all of those things that we lost, that was yesterday. And yesterday's gone, and we'll never get it back. And the only thing that matters is right now, today. And that's what matters. So first off, quit making excuses for what went wrong, your failures. Forget them. They don't count. So you don't have to make excuses anymore. And stop thinking about them. And stop talking about them. Oh, you don't know what happened to me. Never mind. Don't go there. Instead, think about, what am I going to do now? Where am I going now? And just get on with your wonderful new life. Don't even allow yourself to think about the past and what you lost and what went wrong. Instead, think about, what am I going to do tomorrow? Who am I going to go and touch and love and be great to? So maybe you lost a leg in an accident, or maybe you're blind in one eye, or maybe you're blind in both eyes. So what? You're going to make a big deal out of it, or you're going to ignore it? Stop the pity party and get on with the rest of your eternity. Honestly, you can accomplish just as much from a wheelchair, walking on artificial legs, as you can with real legs. And sometimes those artificial legs that they have now can do even more than the natural legs you were born with. And so if you had a double amputee, can have a really good time on those springy legs, and they can run and they can jog. Takes a little time to learn how to do it, but they can. And I want you to think about this. The longest serving president of the United States, Franklin Delano Roosevelt, was confined to a wheelchair years before he was elected. But he was elected president 4 times. And he served as president for 12 years and 3 months before he died in office 3 months into his 4th term after being elected 4 times. Congress has since passed a law that a president can only be elected to 2 terms. So the longest they could possibly serve would be like 10 years. If they were the vice president and the president died, then they became president, fulfilled the last 2 years of the preceding term, and then were elected 2 more times. They might get to 10 years, but he served 12 years and 3 months in a wheelchair, couldn't walk. So whatever your pet excuse is, throw it out. Refuse to believe in it. Refuse to believe in your problems. and they will go away. Now, instead of complaining and commiserating about the past, be grateful for every new day and go for broke. I learned long ago to trust the universe to provide whatever I need. And that was what I was grateful for this morning. The universe provides whatever I need. Simply decide what you truly desire. Now, this takes a little work. You got to think about it. Without my two arms and I'm blind in one eye, what is it that I can do? And then go for it. Do that. So decide what you truly desire to do and to become. And then state it clearly to yourself and the universe 100 times a day. Live it, breathe it, believe it, and patiently wait for it while you do everything you can to assist it to become reality. For example, let's suppose you decide you want to be a jet pilot. Well, you need to sign up for flight lessons. That's a good place to start. And you need to finance them somehow. You might get a scholarship, figure out what's out there, do some research. I once knew a grocery store backroom clerk. He was an accountant who did all the receipts and used adding machines and stuff. And he decided to be a jet pilot. He had family, he had kids. He decided to be a jet pilot. So he became a pilot for Alaska Airlines, and he was a backroom clerk at a grocery store. And he just sat down and figured it out. And later, he was actually a senior pilot for Alaska Airlines. Really something. So that's what you have to do. You have to figure it out. You can say, well, you know, I'm a backroom grocery store accountant. How could I ever be a jet pilot? On the other hand, if you're blind and you lost both legs, you can forget being a jet pilot. That's not in the cards now. So it's up to you to discover what you can do with where life has placed you. I once knew a wonderful soprano who had perfect pitch, and she was totally blind. But she'd taken voice lessons and was a great singer. So whatever your handicap is, you can see it as an excuse and wallow in your grief, or you can ignore it and move on. Set it aside, refuse to think about it. So where do you start? It's difficult to find a vision of what you can and want to do. And again, the cards may not be there for you to be a jet pilot. No legs, you're blind, whatever it is. But there are many things you can do. And so you find out what it is you want. And one place to start is if you're down and feeling bad and, it's just not going to happen and I can't do anything, you need some endorphins. Endorphins make you feel good. So you need some exercise. So let's suppose you're confined to a hospital bed. How in the world are you going to exercise? Talk to your doctor. They'll get you some things to pull on and do. You can get 2-3 pound weights and start, doing the weight stuff that I do. I use 12 pounds. Okay. You can use 15, you can use 20, but you start with 3 and you start doing this. And if you do this, pretty soon you build up some endorphins and you start to feel really good just because you exercised. If you're still ambulatory, that is, you can still walk, you go out and walk around the block. And tomorrow you walk 2 times around the block. And pretty soon you walk 3 or 4 miles. I have my boat, I keep a boat downtown. So I usually walk from Pier 39 to the ferry terminal and then back again. It's 2.8 miles. And Gail goes walking all the time with her friend Garrett, and they go all over the city walking. And that's just, you get endorphins. You feel great because you went and did this. And maybe at first when you pick up those weights, it's hard to do. I can hardly do it. Do it anyway. That's a place to start if you're just really down and out. So get those endorphins. You'll feel alive. And then let's suppose that you're, again, confined to the hospital bed. Get yourself a computer. You can write on that computer. You can start a blog. You can start a Facebook. You can get involved with people through the social systems that are in the internet, and you can totally have a new life. Like I said, Roosevelt was the president, and he was in a wheelchair. So what Gail and I picked up just the other day, we decided to study Spanish. Both of us took it in high school, and we sort of let it sit all these years. And we went on a trip. We went to Ecuador, and they speak Spanish there. And we decided, hey, we need to learn this language. I mean, we speak it in California. You don't know how many people here in California speak Spanish at home. Almost as many as speak English at home. Okay, so we decided we're going to perfect our Spanish, and we're studying it, and we've got we're finding every system we can to sort of immerse ourselves in that language. And we're going to start talking to each other in Spanish at home, and pretty soon we'll be very, very good at Spanish. This is a thing to think about. What do you want, and what can you do from where you are? If you got 2 broken legs and you're never going to walk again, okay. So what can you do from your wheelchair? Be president? Okay. All of these things. And it's up to you to decide, what do I want? What's my heart's desire? And then as Truth was saying in the meditation, you take what you want and dwell on it. You state your intent. Let the universe know what your intent is. And then believe that providence, every morning you don't get up and worry about whether there's going to be oxygen to breathe. Hey, it's right there, isn't it? Isn't that nice? The universe left you some oxygen to breathe. And you don't have to worry about it. It's right there. And do you worry about the sun coming up in the morning? Nah, you just expect it, don't you? And so expect what it is that your heart's desire that you want to do. You can even heal yourself. You can expect healing. And so you set out your heart's desire, and then you give it to the universe and let the universe bring it to you. And then believe it's coming and be patient. Don't say, well, it didn't come today, so it's not coming tomorrow. Be patient. The universe, this is the first day of the rest of your eternity. The universe has eternity, but the universe will bring it to you. And the only thing that stops it from coming to you is your negative, or what I like to call stinking thinking, your negative ideas of, oh, it won't happen. I don't deserve it. Yes, you do deserve it. You are a creation of the universe. You're a participant in this universe, and you deserve the best that there is. So you set out your heart's desire, you believe it's going to happen, and then you wait for it patiently with belief. We're reading a book about a family that went through the Holocaust, and it's called We Were the Lucky Ones. And they're telling how they survived the Holocaust. You know, being in a cattle car for 42 days, being taken to Siberia to work in a labor camp. They were Poles, and the Russians took over Poland. And before the Russians changed sides in the war, they thought the Poles were just so much trash they could use any way they wanted to. And so they put them in slave labor camps. But the people were lucky. They went to a slave labor camp in Russia rather than a death camp in Germany or Poland. Okay, so what's lucky? It didn't look very lucky to them at the time, but later it was really lucky. They were the lucky ones. It's the title of that book. We Were the Lucky Ones, I think is the title of the book. So at whatever point you are in life, you think, oh, this terrible thing happened to me. I had to go through in a cattle car for 42 days to get to this labor camp in Soviet Siberia. Maybe that's a lucky thing. So look at everything that happens to you as lucky. I was lucky enough to get killed. And that's what gave me the vision that I have about the other side. I call it lucky. What do you call lucky? The disaster that happened to you this week might just be lucky. So you went out and your car had a flat tire. Okay, you had to change the tire or pump it up or something. Probably made you slower on your trip and you didn't have an automobile wreck. Count everything that comes as lucky. And then you'll be happy. And then state the things you really want to the universe. You want good health, ask for good health. You want to get over whatever it is. I forgot her name, but she was talking about she got over her COVID this week is one of her gratitudes. Whatever it is, you state it and you put it out there for the universe to bring it to you, and then have no negative thoughts about it. I look over my own life and I see many things that I really, really wanted. I really wanted them, but I didn't think I deserved them. And I kept coming up with excuses why it wasn't going to happen. And the things never came to me. Later, when I no longer cared if I got the thing, so I then no longer made excuses for not getting it. I show up. I get the thing. It's delivered to me. You know, it's like, how'd that happen? Well, as long as I thought I don't deserve it, it's not going to happen. I made excuses for it not happening. It didn't occur. As soon as I got rid of the negative, all those blocks that I made, it came to me. And this can happen for you too. When you no longer don't believe, when you no longer think, I don't deserve it. And so that's an important thing that sometimes we forget to remind each other of is you deserve everything that's out there. Everything the universe can provide to anyone, you deserve it. You aren't not worthy. You're very worthy. You're the best there is. And the universe wants to send things to you. And so that's why it gave you again the sunrise this morning and that oxygen to breathe. Because you needed it and you wanted it and you expected it because you deserved it. We each deserve good oxygen, don't we? So it's there. So start changing your thinking that way. Get rid of all the I don't deserve it's. Get rid of the, oh, it won't happen for me. Oh, it's too late. Get rid of all of that. Throw it away. Refuse to think those thoughts. This isn't just positive thinking. This is no negative thinking. That phrase I say, can't complain, use that. Can't complain. Don't complain. Never complain. Can't complain. I'm not allowed to complain. Put that in your mind. And then dream about what it is you want. Have the intent, the thing you really want. Put it out there. And then believe that the universe is going to bring it to you. And it will. Again, you have to pick that goal that's within what you can do. If you don't have legs, you've lost both of them, and you're blind, don't plan on being a jet pilot. Okay? But pick the things you can do. And there's lots of them that are very rewarding and can make you very, very happy. That's what I got for you.